Control D. Yeah,
Is
there you
that
go.
working now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hiya.
How you doing? You okay?
Hiya, Tracy.
Sorry. Hi there. Sorry about that.
No, to everyone, it happens to everyone when they
Technical
first use this
difficulties.
app.
It was the three dots at the bottom. Thank you for inviting.
No, no problem at all.
Thank you for inviting me on.
It's a pleasure.
I haven't seen this channel before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall it before, and for some reason I ended up on here and started listening to you, and glad I did, and was looking in the comments. I've now obviously subscribed as well.
No, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Okay. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Jupiter, because in January I'm going to be sort of like going into a separate channel. We still will be linked with each other, but what we're trying to do is get as many channels as possible network to get with each other, so we sort of like rotate each other's channels, kind of thing. Yeah, to get the word out and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed listening, so far to the different opinions, different information on what people know and things like that with what's going on in the country and really all across the world, because it's not just here what's going on.
No, it's. I think.
Thank you, Ricky. Can I just say, sorry, go on, Street Soldier.
No, go on. It's all right.
I just wanted to say thank you to the people in the chat, your admins as well, that have given me some really nice comments while I've been waiting to come on. So thank you for that. Thank you for making me feel so welcomed.
No, there's a good group of people in the chat, to be honest. Cam, Murphy and Shell, it's their first time on the panel as well. So they've been in the chat for a very long time, but their first time on the panel as well. So
Hi, Tracy.
Hello there.
Hi, Tracy.
You right?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I like things like this, because I do a show called Wake Up UK. I don't know if anyone's aware of it. Which is a people's show, and anyone can come on there and tell their story, because the main thing is just exactly what you're doing on here tonight, is trying to get the truth out there. So, get people on, let them tell their stories, let other people hear what is actually going on in the country they live in, and not the fake news what they read in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did one show for the reality report on Wake Up UK. I did a 2-hour slot just after Big John. Big John was on here earlier on. He's bowed out, so
yeah, Big Bad John.
Yeah, he's gone to sleep.
But yeah, we got a nice little group here, Trace.
And that's what you need. You need.
Sorry, what did she say?
Say again, Tracy.
Well, my end keeps buffering all of a sudden. This hasn't buffered all night. Now it's buffering.
Oh, Streets has been having problem with buffering, hasn't you?
Yeah, it's been a nightmare. Virgin's been he's mugging me off. I'm sure it is.
No, I have to say I have Virgin Media and it's very good.
I've got Virgin, but
can't complain about it.
In the area, it's just killing it for some reason.
Can you see? You should still be able to hear us, though, Tracy. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Nah, cool. Yeah, I was saying Big John's
YouTube that is buffering.
Are you listening to
just to say, if you don't mind me saying this, I've been reading a lot of the comments, and someone called national racialism. The things he keeps putting is a lot of sense.
Yeah, he's very clued up.
Yeah,
he knows an awful
lot. You know who he is, Tracy? Do you know who he is? When you go Speaker's Corner. Yeah, when you go Speaker's Corner, is IC3. You know the man that dresses up in the uniform?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, right. Well, everything he's saying that I've read is correct.
Yeah, it is. He's a good guy. He's normally on the panel as
After
well.
what happened
Yeah, we've got a lot
to me, it put me on a.
yeah.
You all right, Tracy?
Sorry, I don't know if I'm butting in when people are speaking.
No, that's
I really
fine.
apologise because it's
if you got YouTube
No, you'll
on,
get used to it.
if you got YouTube on, Tracy, is YouTube on? Is it, or what I would do is I would mute the YouTube and then leave the meats running, and then because that might be where the buffer is.
Yeah, YouTube's on, but it's just.
Yeah, so if you mute YouTube, and then if you leave the meats on, and then you won't see the buffer, and it'll be all right then. Because there's a delay from when we speak.
Weird. It's been fine all night. This happens when I come on. Yeah, when I come on things, this seems to what happened. Happens, or everything to go off. I've had that before. My whole internet go off and then reboot.
Oh, okay.
Have you got
That's what happens
Tracy?
to people that they don't want people to listen to. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yep, we're waiting. We're just waiting for you. Yeah. So
Have you got a VPN, Tracy, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so sorry, Jupiter. I've got used to this panel calling. It's very good, isn't it? I like that anyone can call in and chat to you. That's how it should be. Give the opportunity for ordinary people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But England's in the chat
like me to come on and just speak out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to see more of you then, Trace. Come over anytime, man.
Over.
Yep, definitely.
England's got a channel as well, so if I'm not on, he'll be on.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I wish I'd have found this channel earlier. I'm always up late, so I'm glad I found it tonight.
We've always got Big John
channels. I know, that's amazing. So he should be visiting me soon down in London anyway.
Good.
So I look forward to that. Good. He's a gentleman and a scholar. He is. That's what he is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, we tend to have quite a few people that like to talk at night. So if they're up and they're talking, we just allow it to go on.
Yeah, just leave the stream on and just let it go.
Yeah. Quite often streets are just going off to bed. It's normally the women that end up nattering.
It's the females. It's the females that'll just leave it running all night.
They do the night shift. Yeah, they do the night shift.
But what's really good with the women that we've got in this group is that they are very they're not catty, they're not bitchy, and
but there's all
we can't be if we want to be now, Jupiter. Come on now.
It's true, and we're very supportive of each other. And Cam and Shell are just the loveliest people you could ever want. They watch your back.
But the only difference here is we have the full spectrum of the right. So sometimes you might not agree with what people say, but we give people a voice to talk on the right. Anybody on the right to talk.
Yeah. So there's me that's just a civnat, and I get a lot of bullying. And then there's other people that are further up the scale.
Constructive criticism, that's what it is.
Yeah, but we're not malicious to each other. We have a little bit of ribbing and backwards and forwards, but it's not malicious, and nothing's off discussion. So we talk about everything from the Jews to the blacks to the whites to the fucking Mongolians.
Everything.
Yeah, everything. So.
Well, I think there's a journey, isn't it? I think there's a journey when you become aware or become awakened, depending on how you want to, use the terminology on that. The same thing happened to me. Over the last 2 years, as my, let's call it a journey that I've gone on, I've I'll use it as, let's say, Jacob's ladder, let's say a ladder. Each step I've gone up, I've become more and more aware of what's going on in the country and across the world, because it is mainly the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it depends where you are on that ladder of the level of awareness that you've reached so far. Does that make sense? Because 6 months ago, what I knew was going on is completely more to what I know is going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree 100%. 100%. 6 months ago, I thought I knew, but compared now, what I know, and I know 6 months down the road, I'll be even further. So I call it going down the rabbit hole. So I'm just kind of at the going down, and it's like, oh shit, man, I didn't know it actually went this far.
It's what we were talking about earlier on. We were talking about what England came up with the question. I can't remember what it was now, and it was basically what awoken you and what did you say, England? What was your question?
The question was, what was the turning point for you, and what got you originally attracted to the YouTube community, the chats? Yeah. But it'd be different. It'd be different for Tracy on the chats, won't it?
Yeah. So we basically just went through what experiences and how we got to this point. But yeah, it's right.
I remember seeing Tracy stand up in the park the very first day she went there. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
But was you into politics before that, Tracy?
Oh goodness, no. I you know, I've only ever voted twice in my life. Once was to leave the EU, and once was another time. And I've always been very much a non-conformist. But for me, being a non-conformist was, you know, I was a latchkey kid when I grew up. So, you know, if anyone doesn't know what the terminology of a latchkey kid is, it's just someone who's out on the street a lot, you know, and the door was left open for you to go in, but it seemed a lot different when we was younger to what it is now. But I just think people are more aware of what's going on now to what they was back then. So in politics, no, I couldn't stand it. You know, I knew certain things. I was very much an audiophile, so I was very much with someone who just used to listen to music. I used to work a hell of a lot, and things like that. So my main time was taken with my children and working. So I wasn't that much one for TV or the news or the newspapers. I knew about certain things like the pharmaceutical companies, you know, and I knew there's a cure, you know, for everything naturally, just them sort of things. You know, so it wasn't until what happened to my son did I not just wake up to the fact of what the government did from, you know, high up the Home Office down to using the police to covering it up, to what was actually going on in the country that I lived in, which I thought was completely different to what I lived in. And then from there, went on that journey when we, you know, in the early days when we knew that what happened to our boys was being covered up. We knew within 4 days in, we knew by the Monday that things weren't right with the police. And because there's four families involved here, even though, you know, it was 3 boys. George has got a stepmom, stepdad, you know, and vice versa. So George has like 2 families.
Yeah.
Four families involved here. And we all speak to each other, which I don't think that the police thought about when they gave us one family liaison officer between all 4 of us. I don't think they considered that. You know, Nicola, Harry's mum, I worked with. George's dad only lives in the next road, you know, so we all spoke to each other. So by the Monday, we knew something was not right. So it went on from there. And just going back to what you said, Jupiter, I'm calling you Jupiter because of your channel story, was when we realised and we went through the court process and we was fighting before it even got to court, and we were speaking to the mainstream media and they was lying about what we were saying. They was feeding a different narrative to what we was telling them and what really had happened. And seeing all of that is the process of you starting to become aware of what's going on in your country. And I sat there one day and I said to Nicola and the other families, I said, look, we have to get this out there. If they're doing this to us, what's happened to other families? People need to know that what happened to our boys is not an isolated case. And that's how me, Harry's mum and Harry's nan ended up at Speaker's Corner on the 18th of March last year, which was the start of speaking out.
Yeah.
Prior to that, you know, I can't stand photos of myself doing a live feed on my own Facebook page. Prior to that, and prior to what happened to my son, would have horrified me. And now it's become a way of life.
Yeah.
Just
I think that you've been very brave. I mean, I watched you. I watched you when you stood up and you read that out, and then, I mean, I watched you as you progressed, as you went along on your marches, and I don't know. I see. Is it Nicola's daughter when they treated her daughter bad, the police, and a lot of the stuff that was going on. I remember you going into one office and they tried to chuck you out because she was trying to get a meeting, and I was just like, "What the bloody hell is going on here? Why don't they just talk to her?"
Well, the thing is, they don't want the truth out there, and you know, that's the basis of it. I mean, we've got letters here sent to the Attorney General on 4 points for a retrial, and each point on their own, a retrial in itself. That letter was sent last August by the MP Nick Hurd. Within 6 days of him sending it, he stood down as MP and was in the Northern Ireland office. To date, the Attorney General has not responded to that letter, and this was what, you know, made me go into these buildings, because we was being ignored. And for me as a person, you can't treat people like that. You can't treat us ordinary people, you know, the working class, the working poor and the poor, like we are nothing, like our children are collateral damage. Because like what I was saying, that what's the gentleman's name? Sorry, I'm presuming this person's a gentleman, you know, national racialism, has been saying up there. You know, it's the bankers, there's money in debt for them, you know, we're classed as a trade. These are all things I've learned, unfortunately, in the most awfulest of ways. And we don't want another parent to go through what we're going through, and we don't want another child to suffer like our children did, because they did suffer, and we've had to see things that no parent should see. We've had to read things that no parent should ever have to read, all because they covered it up and lied. And we know that it's not an isolated case. So it's all them things that brought us out in the first place, you know, to get justice for our boys and to stop this happening to other children, because you need to care about people's children, whether they're your own or not. Because if you don't stand for the children, then you stand for nothing, because they are the future.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it was through your marches that I actually not only see your case, I see forced adoption getting mentioned. I see Finchley Road getting mentioned. So, I mean, but by your voice getting out there, you did mention other stuff. I just wish that they'd wake up and they'd take a second look at your case and at least listen to you. I haven't even listened to you. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah. Do you know what, Jupiter? Sorry, calling you that again. It's because they know what happened, and because they're all complicit in it. The whole lot of them, like Boris Johnson, is the MP to Harry's parents. He has seen part of the evidence and has ignored it. And in fact, he lied the other week when we was at Brunel University when the election results came out, because obviously I stood in the election, you know, I stood against everything I can't stand. But I did it because I know that they infiltrated every single department of our government. That's how, you know, common purpose people, and that's how they've managed to do what they've done. So I thought, okay, then what we do is infiltrate and back, and I knew it would ruffle feathers me doing what I was doing, which it did do, because they hid me from 4 hustings, even though I managed to get to one of them, and that was only because I found out the day before. I phoned up the church that was holding the hustings. The vicar informed me that he'd got in touch with the council and they was meant to send me an email. But of course they didn't send me that email because they didn't want me there. They didn't want the people to hear what I had to say. But I managed to get to one, which was good. You know, for the people, and I was grateful of, you know, as far as how I saw it, anyone voting for me was voting for themselves because I was standing for them, because we can't allow what's going on to go on, and it's only our generation do something about this, or we leave this to the children, and it's gone then, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it is terribly sad. It is terribly sad, and the thing is, you know, we've just got to keep using our voice, and that is all we can do at the moment. That is all we can do until it gets strong enough. But you know, the strength is coming, and people are coming together, and the networks are growing. And I'm so glad that you're here, Tracy, to be honest, to talk about what happened to you, because I mean, I sat and watched you when you did a video as well that had all the evidence written down, and you were sort of like saying stuff and holding it up. And she went from A to Z, and she said, "I've got a lot more," didn't you, Tracy? You said, "I've got a lot more, but I don't want to say just yet."
Well, there's our boy's case goes really deep, and it will come out. We've done a very tiny preview. And strangely enough, we done this preview. It came out. We was aiming to get it out on the 25th because I went outside Alberton Police Station because they was the team that started this cover up on the murder of our boys. And so I went outside Alberton Police Deployment Base on the 25th, and I had a projector, and I wanted to give them a message on their building. But because it was so light there, it didn't go to plan because the projector wasn't showing up. So I had to sort of improvise and do it on a bin. And then I came back, quickly got that put into a small video with a tiny bit of a preview of what's going to come out regarding our boys. Now, strangely enough, that actually got put out just after midnight, which was the 26th. And lo and behold, I think it's the 27th or today, or it was today, I read a story in the fake news that the Attorney General apparently is going to be sacked because he's not a team player. Yet last week, he was the Attorney General again. But it's just funny since I put out that preview, because by sacking the Attorney General to the fact that he has not responded once to one of our letters, that is you know, where the MP has seen a lot of the evidence and said that he needs to have a meeting with us and 4 points for a retrial on the evidence that the MP saw, and the Attorney General ignoring it by removing him and putting someone else in, means he doesn't have to face accountability.
Yeah.
And that's how they do it. That's how they do it.
See, I'm a little confused. I mean, I've read a lot into the case and watched the videos, and like, I really can't believe why they're trying to protect this and why they're trying to hide what actually happened. Because there's been that many cases where stuff's come out in the end, or it's a bit like the London bridge attack. It's like all the stuff that's come out now of he was on remand and all this sort of stuff. I mean, how deep did this go to what they're trying to hide? I mean, the lengths they're going is shocking, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of things they want to hide, you know, including that London bridge attack. Yeah. But I can't. It's not that I don't want to say everything I've learned along the way, yeah, but there's certain things that people do need to find out for themselves. And the reason why, you know, I tell a lot of people that I come across, they just go, "Oh, Tracy, can't you just tell me this?" I'm not talking about with regards to our boys' case here. This is other stuff.
Yeah, just generally.
Yeah, that if you don't research yourself and say I did a live and said, right, well, this is what I found out, this is this, and this, You'll always get someone, you know, a government troll, an agitprop, an agitator, do another video, say the opposite, then people become confused on what the truth is. So I always, you know, ask people the best thing to do is research yourself, and you will get there in the end. Because, like I said, it's the ladder. It was a ladder for me. You know, what I know 6 months ago is completely different to what I know now. And everyone will reach that who is becoming aware of what is going on. They will. They will reach the fact that, you know, not only do we have controlled opposition on the left, we also have controlled opposition on the right. But people have to find out who they are themselves.
Yeah, it's weird in the free world. You don't expect this to happen, would you? You'd expect that the killing, the murder of 3 kids would be, you know, you would think that would be the most. What's the word? You would think nothing would stop to unearth the truth, and all you've got is barriers, and it's like, what? Okay, let's break this one down, and another one, and it's a constant battle. And you wouldn't think that. You wouldn't think the murder of 3 kids there'd be so much conspiracy. It's like 3 children have been murdered, and you are purposely trying to hide the truth and pretend it's an accident. No, it's mad.
Absolutely, street soldier. Absolutely, and what they do, they dilute the charges.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen comments said to me, I've had people make up videos about me to discredit me, to try and put me off from speaking out. None of them things work, because, you know, I was brought up a certain way, and the more they do that to me, the more I fight harder. It doesn't make me go the opposite way. You know, and like I said, I was brought up in a very male environment, 3 brothers, brought up by my dad, who was a boxer in the army, and taught no matter how low you get back up.
Yeah.
So I was taught to be a certain way, and thank goodness I was, because living what I live with and do what I do, I know how hard it is to do what I do on top of what I feel every day, because I'm stuck, you know, on the 26th of the 1st, 2018. Every day is like Groundhog Day for me. That's what it's like. And go on.
Was you shocked of the amount of negative press that you've had and the negative things that have happened? I mean, that's more shocking. Not only have we just seen the murder of 3 kids, not only have we seen you know, the miscarriage and everything that's gone through the courts, but also the people speak about you negatively, you know, thinking you should just get on with it. It's just like, I would have thought everyone would have been behind you and saying, no, this is it. But you're not. You've got it. You've had attacks from all angles, which again is shocking.
No, you're right there, street soldier. And I've also seen comments from people say things like, well, he was charged, he's in prison. No, that's not good enough.
No.
He should be on the correct charge.
Yeah.
Which is 3 times murder and 2 attempted murder.
Yeah.
They've got to remember that this car aimed at 5, there was another 3 walking towards, and if dear Harry hadn't landed on the bonnet of the car, which made him hit the lamppost, and made him bounce back into the road because of that, then another 3 children would have been taken out as well.
Yeah.
Now, so when I read things like that, it's that type of ignorance that will assist in the destruction of our society and our children. But there are people out there that, you know, you wake up, you've got to realise that not everyone thinks the same. Obviously, they don't, to come out with remarks like that. And also that we have a lot of infiltration, and a lot of the infiltrators do these discreditation comments and videos and things like that, because they have to, because, you know, anyone who's out there speaking the truth and trying to tell people, listen, wake up, this is what's going on in the country you live in. So that part of it makes sense to me. And I get that. And I tend to, you know, people have messaged me and go, oh my God, you won't believe the video that's just been made up about you. And I ask them not to send it because I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it. I know it's a diversion tactic. You know, they then want, you know, they want to bring me down on top of what I feel. You know, there's so many people in this country that are actually evil, because I couldn't do half of what they do to me to someone else. I couldn't even do it.
I agree.
You know,
I've seen some of the abuse that has been written about you and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in a group, and they made fun out of the fact that she was walking the streets. Oh, she should be at home grieving. She shouldn't be walking the streets. And other nasty stuff, a lot worse than that. And I was like, are these people really real? You know, and you knew they were on the left, because they would say, oh, you know, she's only doing this because she wants to be famous with the right, which was quite ridiculous. I mean, you lose a child, who's thinking about who likes them and who don't like them? You're thinking about what's happened. Exactly. And I just couldn't understand how anyone doesn't have empathy for a mother, to be truthful.
Well, you know, they've done the same thing to Charlene Downs, who spoke out and wrote a book. They've done the same thing to her. I see terrible comments sent to her, terrible ones, you know, but this is because they don't want anyone speaking out. You know, I'd rather, like Street Soldier was saying earlier, you would think that something like this, that you would just get, you know, justice would come naturally.
Yeah.
That you'd think that the police, you know, they join the police force to, you know, catch baddies, let's call it murderers, rapists and things like that. It's the complete opposite. You know, 16 days, and I've mentioned this a lot, 16 days before what happened to our boys, a car mounted the pavement in Huddersfield and killed a 15-year-old girl, Caitlin Dawson, and the other two that were at the bus stop are in wheelchairs now. Now,
wow.
Yeah, no charges on the driver, none. Now, none at all. And 16 days later, our boys, and they tried to use the same narrative that our boys were at a bus stop. They was never at a bus stop. They tried to, a lot of the mainstream media were putting that there was a fight in the forecourt, making it look like this fight happened before. No, that was after, when the two ran from the car and one of them was caught. You know, so they fed this narrative. And I still come across people now that I meet that when they realise, it's me and I'm one of the mothers from the boys from that night. They go, oh, the ones at the bus stop. I still come across people that think that now, because not everyone uses social media, or if they do, not everyone is on Facebook. And that's why I went from in 2018, I went from London to Scotland and came back down over a 7-day period, going to 2 towns a day and giving out leaflets and trying to tell people what was going on. You know, and we had the police follow us around, try and say we couldn't give out these leaflets and everything else.
Another thing. I get given, and this is another thing, I get given leaflets every time I go to my centre. Some of it's crap, most of it's like selling windows and stuff like that. And I've never seen anyone go up to them and say, no, you can't do that, ever. But you want to hand out literature that has got facts and to raise awareness. And at every point it's like, no, you can't do that. Well, why? You know,
This is another reason why I tell. Go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say they just wanted to silence you.
Yeah,
there was somewhere that you went to.
Yeah, it was at the O2 and it got chucked out. But after the O2 incident, we actually ended up getting a meeting with Sadiq Khan and the borough commander. Now, in that meeting, these meetings that they just give for the sake of them, to try and save face. Now, we had a meeting with Sadiq Khan and the borough commander. At that meeting, we gave them a whole list of the paperwork we wanted in our boys' case. And the only things we asked them not to give us was the photograph at the scene of our boys, because we didn't need to see that. We ID'd them, we'd seen enough. Yeah. So it was the only thing we said that we didn't want. Now, all families were in attendance. They wrote this long list down, and Sadiq Khan said to the borough commander in front of us, give it to them within 6 weeks, and in the meantime, keep them up to date with the progress of what's going on. Well, 6 weeks passed by. We heard nothing. It got to the 7th week, and one of the other families emailed the borough commander and said, "Where is our paperwork? You haven't kept us updated or anything." He emailed back, and we have all this as evidence. He emailed back stating he misunderstood the meeting. And this is what they do. They just prolong and prolong and prolong. And they want to keep you in this torturous, upset, frustrated, anger. They want to keep you there continuously. It's almost like they feed off it. That's almost what it's like. And they don't want to give you anything. Now, quite recently, we've still been fighting for this paperwork. £3,500 was ended up being paid for this paperwork that we should have been given last year, and they only gave us a couple of pieces of it. So we're still waiting for that. And now they've said that they're returning the money to the solicitor. And they don't want to give it. Well, they have to give it by law, because if there's going to be a civil claim or a criminal claim against them, which there is going to be, to prove what they did, they need to give the evidence, and they're trying their hardest through solicitors not to give us the evidence, the disclosure of what we're entitled to.
Yeah, that's it. It's so even with these meetings with the highs you can get, it just goes to show how high this is, because if you've got the mayor doing this and you've got the commander and everything else, if he's got that high, it's you would think normally it would be the lower people that are hiding this from their superiors. You'd think it was, if I go higher than them, then obviously then they'll have to listen. If you go higher than them, you'd have to listen. But when you get to the highest and they don't listen, it's sort of like, the conspiracy theories is always, you've got like the supervisors or their sergeant of that police station or whatever. It's them not like trying to fob you off. But when you get to the levels of Sadiq Khan and stuff like that, and they're doing it, I mean, there's just no justification for that.
No, you're right. And going back to the email that my MP, Nick Hurd, who was my MP at the time, who was also the Minister for Policing, when he sent that letter with 4 points for a retrial, Boris Johnson was also CC'd in that email, purely based on the fact that he was also Nicola's, Harry's parents' MP, and nothing. They've all seen it. Boris actually, Nicola, we have got it on video, and I did post it on my Facebook page. But Nicola, Harry's mum, actually caught Boris as he was coming through down into Brunel University just before the election results were announced, and she pulled him on it and said, I'm Harry's mum, and you haven't answered any emails. He then lied on the video and said he has responded to them, and she shouted, "No, you have not," and he has not. He has not responded to these emails. Or to the fact of 4 points on the retrial. In fact, what he's done now is said that the Attorney General is going to get the sack. And you're right, Street Soldier, it does go high up in this, because it's all part of the agenda, and it's all part, everything's connected from, like what you were saying earlier, Jupiter, with the children that are being stolen, because that's what it is. My son was stolen from me.
Yeah.
And, these children being stolen from these loving families and put through social services, forced adoption, forced foster care, all for money. Going back to what National Racialism said again, we are just a trade. And the first time I found something like that, Al, was when I was signing the witness statement paper for the impact statement that I was going to read in court, and I'm going to add half of it was crossed out by our own QC, which is against the law, by the way, and just thrown at us, and I mean thrown at us across the table. That's the contempt they had for us, and our dear boys. They, you know, a copper informed me when he come round and said to me, I know how this is going to sound, but it's not a crime against your son or you, it's a crime against the state, because they truly believe they own our children, and everything they've done through deception. It's all about deceiving us, and that's everything they're doing. We are classed as a trade.
Yeah.
Including our children.
And that's clear to see, isn't it, to be honest? I mean,
it's very frightening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's blatantly obvious that there's something there they're hiding, because otherwise they would have gave her the paperwork just to prove her wrong.
Yes, and I'll tell you what else they would have done by now. They would have took me to court for defamation of character or anything, because I've named names on live, I've gone into buildings. They would have done something. But what they are doing, you know, the yellow vests that also go out there that I walk with week after week after week, they've been arresting them, and quite a few of them are up in court. Now, they've arrested quite a few of them for the Islington incident, the Islington police station incident. Now, I was there. They haven't arrested me, but I think what they're trying to do, because when the yellow vest started, we had hundreds of people out there, you know, everyone walking in unity, all there for different reasons, and so on. But what happened, they sent the infiltrators in and to disband it. And that's what's happened over the last year. So with the last little core group of yellow vests, they've been arrested them, and quite a few are up in court on the 23rd and the 24th of February. And one was up in court last week on the Thursday and Friday. You know, lucky enough he got a not guilty, but that court case in itself was corrupt, because they'd charged him with assaulting a police officer. You could see on the video that he had not assaulted the police officer, and the police officer had assaulted him. So what they did, because they knew the video was showing that, they decided to speak about someone else who had been arrested earlier on in the day, about 20 minutes beforehand, who wasn't a yellow vest, and they said that he was arrested for racial comments, and kept bringing up him, which we all know you don't bring up someone else's case in a completely different case. But because they had nothing on this yellow vest, this is what they kept referring to the jury. But lucky enough, the jury saw through that and gave the yellow vest, who happened to be a friend of mine as well, were not guilty. But that's how corrupt the law is, because the law is, you know that terminology that all roads lead to Rome. It really does, because they're using corpus juris laws on us, which means that they can convict you of something that they think you're going to do, which they don't need evidence for. So they can just say, street soldier, I think you're going to next week rob a bank. So we're going to take you to court for it. We don't need no evidence. You'll have someone that they're classed as an accountant giving an account, and they don't have to give the evidence. The same what happened in our boys' case. There was no evidence shown. There was no CCTV shown. There was no collision report read or anything else. But like I said, it will come out. There's other elements to what happened to our boys, which will come out there. I've said most things, but there's certain things I haven't said, and when they come out, it's a shocker.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. I'm amazed that they haven't done more to sort of like placate you, to be honest. I think they thought intimidation was going to work, and I think what you're alluding to is that people suddenly started going into the yellow vest and started smearing them as all racist, didn't they?
Yes, I've been called. I've never been called so many names in my life, and the sad thing,
me neither.
yeah, exactly. And the sad thing is, I don't really now get attacked from the left. I get attacked from the right. All these people that are doing it proclaim to be people who are on the right and proclaim to be patriots, but they're obviously not.
No.
But people fall for it. Not everyone. Yeah, not everyone, but certain people fall for it. I've been said that I'm NF, that I'm anti-Semitic, I'm a racist. I've been everything, and you just hope that people with common sense will just see through all of that, and most people do. It's only a very select few that don't see through that.
Well, the thing is,
but
this
normally
thought crime thing. Oh, sorry, this thought crime. It's a bit like what they did with that survivor of the stabbing in London. One of many attacks, and they basically put him on an anti-terror watch for life because he got attacked by an Islamist. Because he survived and he's got wounds, they thought he may get radicalized and turn to the far right. So they've put him on an anti-terror watch for life, and it's just, so the victim now is being victimized by the state because they think he may turn into, he may lead to the far right. So now they're going to monitor his movements in the sense that if he ever signs up to something remotely to do with the right, he could be watched. It's like, how is that even possible? And it's the same thing. They tried to shut everyone up, and to put a victim on the anti-terror watch in case he goes radical himself is a bit of a long shot, really, isn't it?
It's terrible. Sorry, I didn't know if anyone else. That's the Lion of London Bridge you're talking about there.
Yeah.
They also stopped him getting any payment, didn't they, as well? Others got payment and a bravery award, but he didn't get anything.
No, and I just think it's downright bad. And it's again he should be on. In your case, he should be on murder charges. He should never have been anything less. I mean, it's yeah. Oh man.
The thing is, the political class, they scorn upon us. They class us as their children, the herd. They the Bilderbergs. What's going on in the country and across the world. I'll say across the world, because at the end of the day, this is all about when we was growing up, we heard about New World Order.
Yeah.
And this is what's coming into play, New World Order. Not only do we have to worry about the EU, we have to worry about the United Nations. And a lot of this is the clergy plan, but what they're using everyone. They're using everyone, the political class and the globalists, to get their plan into place. And every single person is being used, but not every single person knows that or is aware of it. And what most people seem to do is concentrate on the problem instead of concentrating on the cause. And once you can concentrate on the cause, then you can start going somewhere and aiming your thoughts and the unity and aiming everyone in that direction. Because the government are the snake's head.
Yeah, definitely.
And using the Constitution, because the Constitution is a real thing, but you get people online yet again debunk things. You've got things online like Snoops. Now, Snoops works for Facebook, so they discredit things on purpose, and then people believe, oh, that's discredited because Snoops said, and they don't realise that, Snoops has discredited it on purpose. So as much as there is the truth out there, there is also a lot of disinformation and misinformation so that people can't get to exactly of what the truth is. Or you'll get some people believe everything that they're told.
Which is more the case. And this is why a lot of people, and then maybe this is why you're getting so much negative feedback, because they believe this stuff in the paper. and they think because it's in the paper it's got to be true, and because they've got that mindset now, nothing you say is going to change that. Not until you get. Until you get.
I think it's worse than that, Street. I think. Sorry, Tracy. I think what I think is that some people start to wake up and they can't face the truth. Because I've been in some groups and I've been privy to some information in some groups like the Great Awakening and things like that, and some of the stuff that's been dropped in there would chill people to the bone if they knew what was going on.
Yeah, it would. It would. I'm with you on that, Jupiter. And you're correct, Street Soldier. So many people believe the mainstream media and they don't realise that the mainstream media are actually thinking for them. You know, create these false narratives and they believe it. And also going on what you said, Jupiter, I think a lot of people find it easier to believe a lie than they do the truth because they can't handle the truth.
Yeah, they don't want it. They don't want to have the sense of realism that we've got, that the state can do as and what they please at any point. And people are like, nah, there's no way they can do that. It's a bit like this with, let's say the one with Tommy going down. I mean, no one would believe really that he got sent down for sending stuff and recording himself on a bloody video outside of court. It's like it happens every single day across up and down the country. So they can bend the rules as and when they please. And people will still not believe that. People will still believe that there must have been more to it. When I started going to demos and it was like, I expected it, because I'd seen the stuff on the papers and I'd seen it on the news. I thought, my God, these things are lively, aren't they? And I went down there. It was nothing of the sort. And it was just like, and when I was driving back, the friend I was driving back with, he was looking for live updates about what was happening on one of the demos. And they were saying all sorts of stuff. And I was like, that didn't even happen. What are they on about? And it was crazy. And, you know, he had the Telegraph and the Mail all saying a riot kicked off outside the BBC and all this. And I'm thinking, well, I was there and that didn't happen. But that's the only thing they'll see, unless they see our uploads, unless they find people's real channels that are on there, and then you'll see, you know, I've got videos from there, and it's just like, unless they see that, that's all they're going to see, and they will never change their mind, because they'll always think then, oh well, they must have done something for that to happen anyway, and sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't have to.
Well, that's how they created left and right, isn't it? The government created left and right and divide and conquer, and that's what it is. They did the same thing with Brexit. They used that to split a country in half, a kingdom in half, because that's what we are, the United Kingdom. And by doing that, you know, the kingdom split in half cannot stand. And that's one thing they hate about the LFS, because it's just got ordinary people in it. Yeah. It had Remainers in it, as well as Brexiteers, mainly Brexiteers, but it had Remainers walking with the LFS, because the Remainers that were walking with the LFS believed in democracy.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been out... Sorry, Jupiter, go on.
No, I wanted to say that... that was the first one of the things that I noticed. That's when you started to get the heat, I think. When she started to try, from my observation anyway, when she started to try and unite people, there were people on both sides on the extremes that were dead against it. You could see that straight away. And so they went in full attack, attacking her, belittling the people that were going out. And it's so sad, because I remember... I don't know what country they were from, but do you remember when you bumped into that group and for a minute people thought, oh God, we're going to end up sort of like in a bit of an argument? I think it was Zimbabwe or somewhere like that. Those protesters, and you all embraced each other. And I thought, no, this is a moment. People are going to wake up and realise that these are peaceful people. But it didn't quite happen that way, did it?
Can I just ask Tracy a question?
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, Tracy, if you don't mind me asking you a question.
No, go on, Cam.
Now, you've obviously seen and know a lot now at this stage, unfortunately, due to what happened to your son, Lord rest his soul. Can I ask honestly, what do you think will wake up the English people to say enough is enough? Even after what happened to your son and recently on the London Bridge, do you think yous have come like used to it, like desensitized to it, or not? I don't know. Not willing to stand up, but if like think that you can't stand up. Do you think the English people will ever stand up and say enough is enough instead of going at you and the likes of you, not the government? If you understand what I mean.
I understand everything you're saying, Cam, and if I'm honest, I've been shocked myself that the whole country hasn't risen up. I knew our boys' case wasn't enough to make people stand, because there's been many atrocities before our boys that didn't make the people stand up and say no more. You know, before what happened to my boys, going back to that, you know, I'd see stories on Facebook and I'd think to myself, you know, within a week, no one's going to be talking about that no more. And I was correct, they didn't. And the way I was brought up that, you know, no matter how low you get back up. You know, you're British. This is how the British are. Our ancestors fought in the war. We face the enemy. You know, if anyone's going to ever stand up as a country, it's going to be the British first. You know, where France and all the other countries are putting us to shame right now with what they're doing. And, you know, I know the media are hiding it, and there's a lot of D-notices. There's D-notices on the yellow vest. So, you know, and you're right, they're not showing the people the truth. I think the British are too tolerant to the intolerance. I hope one day, and not in the distant future, because I know what's coming, that they do stand up. I do think there's been times, and I'll go back to the veterans demo, when they did their demo with the public. I won't call us civilians, because, you know, that's another term under the trade term. Call yourself people or the public when you're speaking to someone in authority. When the veterans were out on the demo, which was Green Park, and I went there, I stayed there the night, and there was a load of yellow vests that stayed there to the end. That gave people hope, and nothing materialised from that. And I understand why, you know, because the veterans, they're not as far forward as what we are as people, knowing what's going on. A lot of the veterans still think the government have a code of honour because they do, and so on and so on. You know, yeah, they don't have a code of honour. They couldn't give a damn about any of us. I hope it's not in the distant future, Cam, and I hope they do. I can only think that, you know, there's a lot of people out there where the spirit of the lion is just in the pit of the bottom of their stomach, waiting to rise up. I hope they do, Cam, because they need to, because if not, we can end up with martial law. We already live in a police state. I know that by being out there, that we live in a police state, two-tier policing system. The police are not constables no more. They're policy enforcement officers, where the government are exercising their power through the police. So, you know, I know what's going on. I know we're a police state, you know, and this is about dictatorship. All the political parties are run by the same hidden hand. So it didn't matter who came in, because the outcome is going to be the same.
Exactly.
So, Tracy, do you not feel, though, that there's been a difference? Because I can feel it. I can feel that there's been a change. I can feel that people are coming together very slowly, but it's happening. And I think you have been a good motivator, actually, because you've just kept going. No matter whether you've had like 20 people turn up or 2 people turn up or 100 people turn up, you still carried on. And I took that resilience when I came to Speaker's Corner and started speaking out. I decided, you know, no matter who listens, even if it's one voice or no voice, I will carry on talking and carry on talking, because sooner or later someone will listen. And so I do think there's changes. I've seen a lot of people putting in an effort to speak. I've seen a lot of people going on the marches. I mean, you lot have probably done a lot more marches than me. I know Streets has, I know England has. But at the same time, I think if everybody just keeps on at it, eventually something has got to give. It took us 3 years, nearly 4, for them to understand that we weren't going to give up on getting out of the EU. I do believe that it will happen. I do believe it will.
The trouble is with that, what I'm seeing now with regards to the EU, and what I find sad, where they took all this time intentionally, you know, everything's done by design, everything. And if voting worked, they wouldn't allow us to vote. It's very much rigged. And I see that in standing, actually. Not that I didn't know that before it, because I did, but being in it and seeing what they do, you know, ideally for us, you know, as people, we need a people's parliament. It's called the Houses of Commons, and it's for the commoners. And you have the House of Lords for the lords. But yet again, like all the establishment, different government departments have been infiltrated. They infiltrated the Houses of Commons, you know, and the political class took that. The hierarchy, or so they think they are, the elitists, yet again, so they think they are, you know, infiltrated that and took that. They are only meant to govern us and not to rule us, but they rule us. They don't govern us. And I know the dark days we're in, and 3 years. Now, you had Theresa May say over 100 times we was going to leave, and by law, we left on the 29th of March last year, by law. Now, people saw that a court case was going through, you know, and I expected millions, 17.4 million voted for Brexit. Personally, just a personal opinion, I believe it was more. I don't believe it was sort of like the nation was that close to splitting in half with regards to Brexit. But that's just my own personal opinion. I don't have evidence. It's just what I feel and what I've seen. Now, you know, I've seen that this is one big pantomime. I've been out on the streets. I've been outside Parliament more times than I can count. I've seen the Remainers who were paid to do what they were doing. Steve Bray was allowed in the media centre so that the newspapers could just show, oh, all these people want to remain. You know, it was one big pantomime. I was there when the Remainers had a demo, and what they did, what they got you know, there was a lot of Remainers there, don't get me wrong, but they shipped them in by paying for these coaches. Celebrities even paid towards these coaches to bring them in. So people were coming in on all free coaches, being given free flags and hats and everything else. And what they was doing, because I was at a PTS demo outside the Ministry of Defence, so I see it with my own eyes. They had these demonstrators, Remainers, walking down the road and going round in a circle. So I was seeing the same people 3 times. So they could make it look like on the cameras and in the newspapers that over 700,000 people were in attendance. Now, this is what they're doing to the British people. Yeah, totally fooling them. That is what they're doing. And
yeah, go on, sorry, let me turn my mic off. Carry on.
Day. You know, they're being paid £80 a day. They don't seem, you know, the £80 seems to be worth more to them than what it does the people, the country, and the children, because you're selling yourself out doing that. So I see the pantomime of what is going on in the country by being out there and meeting people that have been, you know, that tell me they've been doing this since the 1980s, you know, standing up doing demonstrations. And that's shocking to me. And people who was on their second starvation thing outside the appeal courts. And I'm like, well, what did you change on the first time you did it? They changed nothing. And here you are doing it a second time. They don't send anyone out to check on their well-being or welfare or anything like that, or their stats to check that they're okay. You know, they just really do not care. So the more you go out there, the more you see it. I come across a demonstration that had been going 21 years with, and this 21 years, and I didn't know about, none of us knew about it who I was with.
What
And
was
they
that?
was they was demonstrating for all the deaths in police custody. Now the stats online will tell you that there's been over 1,200, over 1,200 deaths in police custody. But when I was at this demonstration, they said the actual figures over 6,000 deaths in police custody. And I was standing there with these, victims' families that were, still fighting after 20 odd years for justice. One family fighting for 31 years for their mother not being listened to. The same as what I'm doing, and I'm not prepared to. I get people right, well, you'll get justice in the end. Look at Hillsborough. Hillsborough hasn't got justice. They've been deluded in those poor people that have been fighting all these years were told, right, now, someone's going to be charged with this. They take that copper to court and he gets off it. So no accountability for what was done to those people at Hillsborough. And that's the problem. No accountability in any department means they will just continue to do what they do to us.
Wow, that's terrible. I can't believe that. A demonstration for how many years you say? 27?
21 years. And can I just add something? Sorry, Jupiter, before I forget. And it was something that Street Soldier mentioned earlier about when you go out on the demos and what the newspaper reports. And I started to say about how the government created the left and right. And this is a perfect example. I went up to Sunderland because, I've supported many demos out there. And I went up to Sunderland and the demonstration was about justice for the women and children up there who are being abused and raped up there. There was 6 women down one road, raped down the same road, and the police not doing nothing about it. So I was up there at this demonstration, and at the front they had this big banner. The background was white, and on the front, the whiting was in red. And that banner, all it said was justice for women and children. Now, there was a counter demo from Stand Up to Racism. That's shocking. But the people who go and stand up, apart from the people who control it, because it is government controlled Stand Up to Racism, and they lie to the people, the left, let's say, that follow Stand Up to Racism. They obviously lied to them about what this demo was. Well, within 2 days after that demo, on LBC in the newspaper, they were saying it said refugees not welcome. And that's how they create these false narratives. It said justice for women and children. That's all it said. But that's the lie that they fed to the people who didn't go.
Bloody hell. That's disgusting. So is that the one that Tony Bugle, because I think Tony Bugle set one up, didn't she? She did a march. Was that her march, the Sunderland one?
No, that wasn't her march. It was just, a few women like Sharon Bink, and offhand, I can't think of the other lady's name who set that up. And well done for those girls.
Exactly, strong women, another set of strong women.
Yeah, and someone's just mentioned Aurea. I'm so good at pronouncing things.
Aurora Dawn.
Yeah. Aurora. I've seen Aurora mentioned many times on my comments in the past. Hi to you, great lady, who supports, many people. She's just put in the chat, what about Grenfell Fire? Now, Grenfell Fire, I just want to answer that because, I research many things, and it's one thing I researched as well. And, I just want to throw this in there. for anyone listening and who is unsure, and you can research this yourself online, that they blamed it on the fridge, didn't they? Which was a Hot Point fridge. Now, Whirlpool actually own Hot Point, and you can go and find it online where they tested that fridge, that maker fridge. Now, if there's a fault, they have to recall these fridges. Now, if that was true, that that fridge was the cause of that fire, they would have had to recall these fridges, and they did not. That fridge got a clearance, and you can find that in a PDF online yourself. And then, for anyone who's just sitting listening and don't know what the truth is and want to do a bit of research, go and look that one up. Make that your starting point.
Yeah, and all of this is just terrible. It's injustice for loads of people, all the innocent people at the bottom of the scale in this country. This is what they're doing to us.
So they're saying it's a fridge. I thought it was a cooker. No, seriously, I thought it was a cooker on the 4th floor. Somebody's cooker. That's what was put out. But why?
No, meant to be a fridge. Fridge.
Fridge. Okay, I'm gonna know that. Hmm.
That's the thing, though.
Why didn't they let them out? Because the fire brigade couldn't reach them. They couldn't make their way into them, and they kept ringing and saying, "Can we leave?" And they said, "No, stay in the building. We'll get to you." 3 hours later, they didn't get to them. They could have saved them people. What I don't understand why they didn't let them out if they couldn't make their way to them.
It's awful. And do you know what's even worse, Cam? There was a fire previously in Lanarkle House in Peckham, where a similar thing happened. And in the 60s, there was a similar thing that happened with a cooker. And that's why most flats have got electric cookers and not gas cookers, because back in the 60s, it was the gas cooker that blew it up. So they've had these things done before. But what I find even more disgusting is even after it's happened, we still have high-rise flats with the same cladding that's not been removed in several boroughs around London. But
it wasn't the cladding. It was because of the cheap-ass cladding that they replaced. Instead of, they took shortcuts on it. It wasn't fire retardant or anything like that. So that basically went on fire all outside the building and then set up. Okay, yeah. Because there's a very good documentary about the Grenfell fire, and it shows all the shortcuts.
Yeah, and the thing is, Cam, this had happened in France, so they knew it was likely to happen to the buildings in Britain that used the same cladding. It had happened a couple of times in France. So it was known across Europe that this was that these buildings, if they caught fire with this cladding, it was likely to happen the way it did.
Well, but no one did for that, because the council are the ones that put out like the bid for these things. So if you come in and say, okay, well, to have all this, not that it's an excuse, I'm just saying like it is down to them as well, because they didn't approve. They had to approve them fake ass cheap cladding on the building, or
they did.
Right?
Yeah, they did.
Right.
They approved it. They approved it to go through the checks. They said it was fine, and this is what the problem is. But now it's like they're trying to smear the firefighters. And try and give them some fortune.
Wasn't it the Labour government that agreed on that though? It was. I think it was Jeremy Corbyn. I think it was that agreed on the. Was it Jeremy Corbyn or was it Sadiq Khan? But yeah, I think it was the Labour government that agreed on the.
Another fact that came out was that council where Grenfell was, they cut back. I think it was something like they cut back on the price per metre or whatever it was on the cladding. But they gave all the rich residents that paid full council tax £1,000 back each that year.
Oh, wow.
Did they?
Yeah, they did, yeah. Look it up. Disgusting.
That's crazy. Again, it's madness of the governments that we've got leading us.
Well, you can never going to put more high-rise buildings up because London, there is no more room in London. So London is going to become like Dublin. Like we have County Dublin, which is not actually Dublin. It's another county that's right beside us. And we've just extended from Dublin city out that far into another county and called it Dublin. So we can still class it as Dublin, even though it's not. It's an hour outside Dublin.
No way.
But,
so they've redrew the map. They've built another estate and they've just moved the border along.
That's what they're going to do, because anywhere that's green, because I get a stupid answer. I say, like, where are we going to put all these people? But look at all the green spaces we have. We can build. Okay, you do know, you idiot, we need trees to like breathe,
and food, right? and vegetation and
yeah. So where are we going to grow all this? Oh, you haven't thought that far. Oh, okay, great. But you've just thought about slapping up a building there, banging in people. But where's air field? Where's air oxygen? And then you worry about carbon emission. Is this not going to be like bad for the ozone and all this crap you're talking about? So I just see London getting bigger and bigger and bigger, to be honest, because
at least in London they didn't do anything as ludicrous as moving the boundary, like just keep putting extra areas and then classing it as London.
We didn't take all the county. We just took a bit of the county and made it Dublin. So, which is even worse. Instead of making
it's just unbelievable, isn't it? What they do. This is ridiculous. My mum was telling me, listen to this. She was saying that this has been going on for years, right? You know the Dartford toll bridge. Yeah, she said when they originally built that, they told people that they were going to charge until that they got reimbursed the cost of building the bridge, and then no one would have to pay. Yeah. And to this day, they're still paying.
It's true. There was, I remember it being done, and it was like because to get the funding to do it. They said because they said no to the funding for the tunnel and the bridge, and so they said, well, I tell you what, we'll charge people, give us the money, we'll charge people, and when it's paid, it'll be open for free. And they've had the money back, but they're still charging because I got a fine the other week because I forgot. Yeah, it's a complete con, absolute complete con.
It's a joke. And the other thing she was telling me is, like years ago when they moved people out of East London and they sort of like moved them out to the suburbs, and they said to them, because the houses are decayed and we're knocking them all down. And then they kept some of the streets, they kept them and just done them up and then sold them on for millions. Yeah. All of this kind of stuff is... It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable what they've been doing. And you say, we all think, we live in such a civilized country and they won't do this to their people, but they are. They're ripping us off left, right, and centre. And you just got to laugh at the audacity.
I tell you what, though, Cam, I bet the people that the land that they moved over, was anything on there? Was it just wasteland? Or was it?
Some of it was just bogland, like where we get our coal from, and then like some actually was kind of it was used by Mead, Wicklow, Kildare, another one, Laois. Yeah, so 5 other counties. We just kind of took a little bit off and just took around. But on the map, we still look very, very small. We actually are the smallest county in Ireland.
Yeah.
So it just kind of grew, and that's what I'm saying. Like now they want to bang up like loads of apartments. They're just massive in height, but the balconies are like ill-equipped, like so they fall off, they rot off. They have like all wooden crappy stairs which all rot, and all the front of it goes all moldy, and so they're just slapping these up and then just banging people in them for like nearly $2,000 a month. So yeah, it's very expensive, and it's getting worse here. But one thing, as I said, when the immigrants come here, they're put up in a nice hotel, they're given a credit card, which most people don't actually believe.
Yeah, they are prepaid bank cards.
There you go, Street. Thank you very much.
So yeah, they do. They give them, because years ago they used to give them gyros and you used to have to go and cash it. But with modern technology, they get bank cards and you get a prepaid MasterCard.
Yeah, prepaid Visa card. That's what I have up here. So that's how I know, because they just whip out their card and I'm like, oh, okay. That's meant to be for your food, but there you are buying like £150 pair of runners. Oh, okay, great. So yeah, it's like, okay, they get here and then they can apply for a car because it's racist. They're being the only coloured person on a bus, which, as I said earlier, is total bullshit because they're driving the buses now. Yeah. Even though they don't know how to drive.
Well, so they're saying about these licenses.
I love you. You've got so many one-liners without even realising it.
This thing about the driving license, though, I've had first-hand experience of this, and the reason why our councils did this, it was because that they didn't want them to. They needed to find work, and it was hampering them because they wouldn't know the bus system, they wouldn't know the system, so it was easier to give them putting them through driving lessons and pay for the car. And what used to happen was there was a factory. I can't say the factory because you know where I was, but there was a factory, and what happened was they were going around the car park and they had these gyros. They had I think it was like $2,000 to, after they passed, they would get a gyro credit, and it was for about $2,000. And they used to go around the car parks of the factory and look for a car and offer to buy it of the people working there, and then they used to pay them this, and it was madness. But yeah, they got all the stuff paid for them.
Well, yeah, it's like all the ones coming in at Dover, isn't it? And that hotel that Vinny sort of filmed and that.
Yeah.
How they're all being put up at the hotels, and
I was with him.
Yeah. Oh, was you?
Yeah, I was the one driving and doing the. I was the one that walked in behind him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was there.
Because how many would you say a week? Street 300 a week that they're not telling us about, maybe more.
Yeah, well, that one day there was 48. They actually, what they'd done is they took over the 2 top floors of the hotel. They said there was nobody there, and it's the Home Office paying for it.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, the Home Office.
Are you based? Why don't you come on now that you've recovered from being sick?
Yeah, it's I think because the lady in the hotel claimed that never happened, so we already knew it was true because we had the articles. So the further in the video that we did,
you paid to say that. You see, and that's why I can't understand why you would take even 50 grand. I couldn't, even though it's a chunk of money.
Yeah,
but I couldn't.
Did you watch the video? Have you watched it?
Yours? No, I haven't. Straight.
Yeah, if I'll put it in the chat for you. But if you watch it, she basically lies about if the payment that was made. No, she said there was no immigrant staying there, and if there was, they wouldn't get it for free. And what we said was, no, well, who's paying for them to stay here then? And she said there's no immigrants here. But when they played the video, afterwards further in the video, we've got the actual their local newspaper telling them that it was paid for by the Home Office. So it was a complete scam.
Well, that's it. Like, who's paying for their private jet into Baldonnel Airport? Because it's not like a big Boeing 747. This is a private ass little jet.
Yep.
So where are they being picked up from, and who's paying for them to come in here? Because Baldonnel Airport is a private airport, so it's like where the president, like, of America and all comes. Like, they don't go to Dublin Airport. They go to Baldonnel, which is, I'm telling you, part of Wicklow, which is really County Dublin, which is really Wicklow, but however, it's called Wicklow. But they get brought in there, and that's where the army and all is. So how are they getting away with it? Who's paying for it? As I said to Jupiter, like, it's not always money. You go, who's behind this? Who wants them there? Who's bringing them in?
Yeah.
And then you find out the real shit. You're like, oh my fucking word. Oh, sorry for cursing, but yeah, it's scary as fuck, to be honest. It really is.
Well, we know that Soros is mentioned a lot. We know that. We know
he has funded, I think, 6 groups in Ireland so far, and he has said that like Irish shouldn't have like any heritage or anything like that, you know, any tribalism or anything like that in Ireland. I'm like, who the fuck are you to tell us what we can do in Ireland? But he has a lot invested in Ireland because we have big pharmaceutical companies, and as you know, Facebook, Google, Twitter, all them headquarters are in
Microsoft's
every one of them are in Dublin.
Yeah, Microsoft is in Ireland as well.
So yeah, like, so why are they all there? So they're all pushing, they're all behind.
Sony's there.
Yep.
Sony's
being one of the first ones to be there, but like Google and all them, they all came in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Because of the massive tax haven they get.
The thing is, though, that just affects your country.
Oh, of course. But you see, what we're told is that we're getting jobs. We're like, but we get jobs.
Give people jobs. They're in work. There's no employment, but you're not paying no fucking tax, eh?
Yeah, you see, that's what people they don't look that far. They don't really care. And it's like honestly, like we pay tax and then we have to pay a PRSI and then we have to pay for a pension, which is fucking gone because the EU took our money. They took our pensions.
Yeah, they fucking stole the pensions.
So now
that's what I was saying the other day. Our generation are going to be the generation, unless you paid private yourself, there's nothing there for you.
Yeah, but there's been a mistake because everyone said, yeah, pay into your pensions, you'd be fine. But what the problem is now is because the pension pot's gone, the people that have been advised, even if you were paid in exactly what they told you to, you're still going to have a shortfall. And they're telling you now you're going to have to either pay double in what you're doing already, or you'll have no money at the end of it because they got the figures wrong.
And they've pushed the working age up to 68. So we can.
Well, that's for females. That's for females. It's 75 for males.
Yeah.
Wow. That's because they've spent most of the money, and what they're doing is bleeding us dry. But all these years, you know, throughout my research, and you can research this yourself, but you know, I always say it's not don't believe what people say, but whatever people say, do research yourself. I do. Every time someone tells me something, I will go home and research it myself. You know, all these years when we've been led to believe that they sent all this money abroad in foreign aid and things like that. They didn't. It went into their offshore accounts. You can find that out by watching loads of videos on the City of London. You know, the City of London, New World Order, you've got the City of London that's classed as not a country in itself, but, you know, it's not classed as being part of London, the City of London, which is the financial arm. Yeah. You've got Washington, D.C., which is the military arm. And then you've got Vatican City, which is the religious arm. And this is all New World Order. Everything has been done by design. You're quite correct, Aurora, all part of the agenda to turn the West into a third world. And that is what is happening. We have over 3 million children in poverty in this country, and yet we're meant to be a rich country. I've just got to say, I've got to go now. Yeah. I want to thank you all so much for your hospitality and asking me to join you tonight. Thank you to everyone on YouTube who's put in comments and welcomed me in tonight. I thank you all very much. And I will come and watch your show as often as I can.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, it has been a pleasure.
It's absolutely
honor. Yeah, no, the pleasure's mine. Honestly, it really is. It's been an honor. Thank you very much for everyone listening to me. Just remember, everything is done by design. You know, Agenda 21, Clergy Plan, you know, a lot's going on. So keep mindful, keep an eye on Brexit, because if we leave with a deal, we haven't left. The EU laws supersede our own laws. And our own laws do not run to a justice system. It's all about dictatorship. And remember that if you do get arrested, they can put you in any prison in Europe right now. So thank you, everyone. Do your own research, and I'm sure you'll see me again soon. Thank you to all the hosts and for allowing me.
Tracy.
No
Good night,
problem at all.
Tracy.
Good night.
Good night and God bless.
Take care. God bless.
That was nice.
See, she knows a lot. See, she's gone, like I say, down the rabbit hole. She's well down there, like well and truly there, because I can know as far as the Bilderbergs. So it's like these 12 powerful men are deciding our fate.
Yeah.
These 12 rich motherfuckers have folders, 3 folders that they pick from and say, okay, this is what we can do.
You've got it down to 12 of you.
Seriously, Jupiter. Seriously, 12 of the most richest and important men in the world.
Oh, God.
Right? And these men run companies that we all buy from, that we all know. You put in the Bilderberg group and it'll show you. Nothing, it's nothing that, like, I'm not, like, that you can't find literally at the tip of your fingers. It's a well-known group that's going on from the 70s. These are billionaires that are deciding countries' fates.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more people involved, though, than just them 12. I think for it to work successfully, you've got to have it worldwide.
You need the rest. You have, like, it's like you're going to have, like, commanders in... Like,
yeah.
And then you're going to have, like, the little minions. Like, so, yes, of course. It's after taking, 20 years for them to do it? And it's working very, very well.
Yeah, it's disgusting. But you see, the thing is, if you get enough people standing up and enough people together, then you just do non-compliance, and there's not a thing they can do.
Well, unfortunately, Jupiter, have you seen in France that the police actually joined the Yellow Vests? They put down their batons and they joined in with the Yellow Vests in the protests,
Yeah, and what happened then? Because I haven't been keeping up with the Yellow Vests in France recently. So is that recent?
Yeah, that was just what day is today? Sunday. Yeah, I think that was maybe just before Christmas or after Christmas. I'm not sure now because I'm a little bit confused today. But yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It was this week.
Oh wow, that's a big step.
Because they were like, they're rioting and they're shutting down France. Like, they're closing, like, Paris has come to a standstill. And Tracy, unfortunately, is right. They're putting England and Ireland to shame with what they're doing. And as I asked her, like, what would it take for you to say, okay, enough of this shit?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't know what it'd take. And that's been, like, a soldier being beheaded, kids being ran down on purpose, and yet they're trying to say it was a fucking accident that he went off the fucking road.
He said he was 2.5 times the drink drive limit, and it was full of shit. It was, the proper information that they gave out, it was fucking murder, and they fucking knew it. But they said he was 2.5 times the legal limit. And basically, I believe, I can't quote me on this, there was reports saying, because it was a Muslim guy, because it doesn't normally drink, it affected him more than it normally would, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah.
Oh, bullshit.
Yeah, of course it was, yeah. It was murder, and everyone that knows the case knows it was fucking murder. And he's in there now for basically, the charges... The last charges was, let me just check. Well, I think it was drink driving.
Wow.
Attention, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, and that's the bad thing about it. Right, I'll tell you. So basically, because I can't remember if they changed the charges on him. Yeah, he's just death by dangerous driving. Yeah, just that's all he's got. Death by dangerous driving. He got 14 years, and believe it or not, he got even banned for 13 years. I mean,
oh Jesus, wow!
Yeah, banned from driving as well. Yeah, it's
shouldn't be allowed to drive in the first place. Wow. Yeah, you see, that it just makes no sense in my head why people.
But the thing is, though, the thing is, what I'm not sure if Tracy actually said. They're saying they were a bus stop, but there wasn't. So they said it was sort of they were there at the bus stop, and so
yeah, she did. She said that. Yeah.
Well, you can see on the video that they're nowhere near a bus.
They're not near a bus stop. So the idea was it was at a bus stop. That's why he managed to get the 3 at the same, but it wasn't.
Oh,
right. Basically, it wasn't in the bus stop anyway. They actually mounted the curb to do it.
Yeah, they also reduced the sentence at appeal, as Penny P said they did. Yeah, they reduced it. He appealed it and they reduced it. I can't believe that either. I mean, what a slap in the face is that? They won't even reinvestigate the case for them, but they'll relook at the case for the convict.
Yeah, they won't review the case because they see there's no new evidence, so that there's no point unless new, significant evidence comes forward. They're not willing to look at the case again, even though the first case was a miscarriage.
And even then, they have the right to still refuse, even if you can come up with like really important evidence. That judge still has the right at his discretion to say yes or no.
Yeah,
it's his discretion. So, yeah, they're all bought and paid for, and it sickens me. It fucking sickens me. So, but you have so much fake news out there. So much fake news out there that people actually believe that.
People believe it, and that's the problem. People.
So you're fighting a losing battle. We need to get control of the mainstream media. If you stop that, because they're the ones that are pumping out all the time, non-stop, from Twitter, Facebook, newspapers, online, every angle they can do it from. Even from their workers, because they're brainwashed little bees. You go and do this, because when you're applying for a job now, they ask your political affiliation. Do you have any, like, who you're supporting? Who, if you support the right, you won't get the job. So you fall in line, shut your mouth and fall in line, and be a good little worker bee, and you're fine.
Yeah, that's why these channels are so good, because the more channels we've got, the better organised you can be. And there's so many things you can do on the channels. For example, somebody could keep a record of people that are losing their jobs and talk on the stories of that. But somebody could, you could have one that's sort of like run like a right news, if you know what I mean. There's so many things that you can do once you've got the channel up and running, and I will be doing. Be sure about that. I will be doing, but no doubt they've got their ear to the ground on me already.
Well, that's the thing, Jupiter. Unfortunately, like Jenna O'Doherty, as soon as you kind of get like a little bit to hit the masses, that even like a certain amount of people are watching or that shared your video, then that you're being watched, and then your account will be frozen, all that crap. So that's what I'm saying. They have the monopoly on the information being put out there. So we have that's
kind of why, Cam, it's been good for me to sort of like jump around a little bit, because nobody can predict what channel I'm turning up on. Like I said, there's always a sense to my madness, and
that's true, Jupiter. That's true. I have to give you that. Me, I'm a bit predictable. They know where I'm gonna go. So with you, you hop left and right. It's like, where are you going, Jupiter?
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, what? She's over there now? Okay, let me go there now. So I catch on too late. A shell or something informs me, and I'm like, oh shit, right, I better go there now. I'm like, see you later. Like, yeah, I'm not on to you on that. So yeah, you're good at that, Jupiter. I'll give you that.
Yeah, you know, so sometimes it pays to be a bit smart and to outset, call yourself the dubstepper.
There's a pure madness, all right, Jupiter. I'll give you that. I didn't see it at first, but I'll give you that. You do.
Yeah. But it's been good because not only is it spreaded people's opinions, it's got my voice out there. It's spread my opinions. It's got me known, and it's got a few other people known as well. So, yeah, no, sometimes you have to be very sort of like think out the box. But I'm glad. I'm so glad that Tracy came on. I really think I'm so glad that she came on because even if we've only given her, even if she doesn't come back, and this was the only time that she's come on here to get her voice out there and help her a little bit, is a good thing. It's a positive thing. So
I think she will come back. I think because she has another platform to speak.
Yeah, she has. Yeah.
From. So I think she will kind of come back. Well, that's what she said, but I just think she will anyway. But it was very good to hear her because we've seen her on videos and stuff like that. So my heart goes out to her. And
it's obviously England's mind, Ralph. So it looks like our channels are getting out there for obviously for Tracy to hear it at one point. So it's
definitely getting out there straight.
Definitely reaching a bigger audience. So yeah.
Really it's definitely getting out there.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, look, I know you've all got your thing, but the good thing is that everybody's now beginning to understand, you know, that you haven't got to be on the same allegiance all the way through. Do you know what I mean? There's some people that get on with other people and there's some people that don't, but in general, just all have the same purpose and shared goals and values. That's all it comes down to, you know.
No, it's good.
But as I said, we all have one thing in common.
England's just pushing and pushing and pushing.
Back in, is he? Where
he wants me to get on the surfboard.
Oh, he's in the chat, is he?
Yeah, England. He said Jupiter is on the crest of a nationalist wave. She needs to just step on the surfboard.
Yeah. He said you foot on it anyway, Jupiter. You 1 foot on it. You might as well put the other foot on.
Yeah. I know what I'm doing. Believe me, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And it's for the betterment of everybody. I know what I'm doing. It's easier. No one can be implicated and nobody else gets implicated. I know what I'm doing. I know you're only winding me up, England. I know. And don't worry. things
mate.
all right for everybody. You know, sometimes when I hear people's stories, especially someone like Tracy, you know, and you can feel the pain through the screen. You don't even need to see her face or whatever. You can just feel the pain coming off them. I so much want to just sort of like, I know this is going to sound like a crazy saying, but I just so much want to just lay my hands on her and take the pain away. And do you know what I mean? And it's sometimes it's like, it's going to be all right. I know it's going to be all right for her. And I know things are going in the right direction. I just wish people could see what I could see, but that's just me, unfortunately. I see positive things.
She's going through hell at the moment, and she's literally... I didn't want to talk about the Tommy Robinson fallout and all this sort of thing, but she's right where, you know, she expected the right to be on her side, and I'm afraid they're not, because some of them are... what's the word I'm thinking of?
But what you have to understand is, though, as well, Street, is that human beings are fickle, yeah? And many people are jealous, and many people are bitter, and many people are just gossips. And so there's a lot of people that will just look for the negatives instead of the positives, and they don't look for the answers. They just want to moan about what's happened. And unfortunately, we live in a society that's built on a lot of rights for women, but at the same time, they're very heavily critical of women. So when a woman stands up and speaks, and someone as strong as Tracy, and believe me, she is a strong woman, really strong. I've watched her from the very first day. She's very strong. When they see somebody like that, they would just try and rip at her from any direction, because it might just be something as simple as they don't like the fact that she's getting attention and they're not.
Yeah.
And it's very, very sad that people are like that. Very, very sad, but it's human nature.
You just wouldn't expect people that en masse to turn against it, to be honest, and that's what also troubles me with that side of things. It's like, you know, sometimes the cause is bigger than the man, and the reception she got because of it, I just think it's unneeded.
TikTok, Jupiter, TikTok. Don't you worry about TikTok. Don't you worry about that. But no, so yeah, it is very sad, and it's terrible that people have done this to her.
I'm just surprised that there wasn't thousands of people behind her. To be honest, it just makes no sense to me.
She did have a lot of support in the beginning, but people went in and they meddled, and
yeah, she did at the start, but things started to fracture, and basically a lot of the movement turned on her for whatever reason.
See, that's just sad. That's, I mean, as I said, like, I don't know. I don't get that. You all have a common goal.
Yeah, it's why I didn't ask her. It's why I didn't ask her about it. It's one of the reasons why I didn't ask her about it.
Well, you see, this is what I don't. Right, I'm going to say this now. Right, this is what I don't like when I hear people saying, "Oh," and they make it all about them. In Tracy's case, it is about. She is going to be focused on what happened to her. Yeah. Because it's her experience, and it was a tragic experience.
It was her son. It was her fucking flesh and blood.
Exactly, and there is no greater loss than what a parent feels. Look, it's not the natural order of things. You're not meant to bury your children. You're not meant to.
Exactly.
And so it's against nature. It's not normal. It's not. And for anyone that's lost a child, anyone, you know, it's not a good thing. So what has happened to her is terribly sad. Am I going to judge other people for not seeing that she's genuine? No, I'm not going to judge people, because I don't believe that we're in a position to judge. I think all we can do, or all good people can do, is just support people when you believe them, and that's what I do.
What do you mean by genuine, Jupiter? Because I mean, if somebody said, "Okay, well, Cam, this is what happened. Her son was mowed down."
Exactly, it's genuine. It's genuine. She's not doing it for any other reason.
So, like, why would they doubt her? Why would they doubt her? If I didn't like the woman, I'd still back her. Why? Because she lost her son.
Exactly.
To a terrorist act.
Exactly what I feel.
So, fuck what I feel about that woman. It's about her son. Because if it was mine, I would hope they would do it for me, whether they liked me or not.
Yeah, Penny, I agree. Penny's saying, but Tracy isn't just about her case. She stood up against many other cases, and I agree, Penny. And that's what I'm saying. I see the things that they wrote about her on the left and the right. A lot of people said horrible stuff, but I can equally say that a lot of horrible stuff has been written about most people that I've seen on the right. I think it's a tactic that they've used. I think it's a tactic that the right have picked up on using. And
if you think about how the Nazis won the war, it was all about infiltration and basically slander, spreading lies. That's how they got so far. The French didn't even believe they were in their fucking towns until it was too late, because they were infiltrated and had whispers, all bullshit, fake news being spread everywhere, and that's what's happening here. And everybody's buying into it, hook, line, and sinker. So I'm asking, when is enough enough? Like what? A bomb going off? What?
Well, the thing is, we've already had it. We've had bombs, we've had beheadings, we've had stabbings, we've had
the bombs. Let's put it this way: we're very resilient, if nothing else. Even though they're starving us, trying to fucking dehouse us, fucking give us no education. While they're trying to kill us, yeah. But the thing is, I think the change is coming, and I think the thing is, everybody's been waiting for a kickoff point, and I don't think it's going to get to a kickoff point. I think what's going to happen is, just like with Tommy, there was suddenly a very big surge. I think that the surge is coming, and it's been coming for a very long time, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't think it's going to kick into violence. I really don't. I really don't believe it's going to kick into violence. I think.
But I hope you're all right, because unfortunately, sometimes you need to fight. You need to fight because we're being walked all over. Like we're showing. Okay, you can come here. We've no problem with your religion. We hadn't till now. We have no problem with you coming in, doing what you want in our country. Okay, so we're being walked all over. So unfortunately, I think we need to fight back in certain areas because the government are fucking backing them and are pushing us down. And if we don't fight back, we might as well lie back.